celebrating free movement of Africans across this continent to promote this continent. But we are having one of us just now, I think as the other speaker was talking about the Sith region, and that we need to recognize the Africans that are in the diaspora. And I'm not sure, Mr. President, if there is a representative in the parliament of the member of the Sith region. But again, I just want to go back to also what Prof. Lubuma was saying in terms of this parliament, and whether as ordinary people, as ordinary citizens, as ordinary Africans, we know the members in the parliament and maybe their duties. And fortunately, I'm just speaking after also the Ethiopian ambassador here, because the issue that I'm just going to raise is that we had a visitor. I'm sure the Pan-African Parliament know that we had Dr. Umar who visited South Africa for the International Africa Week. And yesterday he was supposed to be landing in Ethiopia for this day at Addis Ababa, and he was refused to exit the country because of the visa. And even today he is missing his flight to go there because he was given 2 days. So I'm not sure if really, when we have such issues and we have such people that are so relevant to us as young people, as young leaders, that are actually struggling to move across the continent to talk about African liberation, if really we are talking about freedom today, or we have anything that we can celebrate. So I'm just raising that because he's currently at the airport and he's going to miss another flight if he did not catch the second one, just because of the visa. So today, what will be our main agenda if we cannot promote our African continents? Thank you.
That Africa, which is endowed with mineral resources and has 60% of the arable land, Africa today is the poorest of continent. And African people survive on donations, on charity from Europe, whereas Europe is advanced and sustains itself because our resources. Now, if there is any call that this parliament should make, is to say, with due respect, Africans must expropriate their land and natural resources without compensation, because those who stole our land and natural resources did not buy this. And our backwardness and underdevelopment today is not because we are not intelligent, it's not because we are stupid, it's because we allow former colonial powers to continue owning our land and the natural resources. And right now, when we are sick, we cannot heal ourselves, because they say, don't drink the medicine unless you have eaten. What will you eat if you have been impoverished? So they are not producing solutions for us, and that's why our leaders say we must actually find African solutions to African problems. Now, we must agree as this House that we need an African cultural revolution which will ensure that we achieve social and political freedom, because today Africans are politically free but not socially and economically free. And that's why I must end up with a big question. The big question is, why is Africa and Africans facing, this continent facing, cannot silence the guns? We are the poorest of the poor. We are the most sick. Why? Because we did not listen to Sasresa Khama, who said that a nation must have a soul. And he was supported by Mandela, who said a nation must have a soul. Even Xi Jinping says a nation must have a soul. But under colonialism, Africans have lost the soul and its inherent ethical and moral values. And because we lost the soul, we don't mind killing women and children, abusing women and children. We don't mind as leaders to use our political office to feed ourselves and our families at the expense of the masses of the people. Now, I want to end by saying that there can be no African revolution without African people. That we as parliamentarians, we must go back not to ask for more votes, but to empower the people of Africa, raise their consciousness, make them understand that the future is in their hands and that the total liberation of this continent can only be achieved if the masses of the continent take the responsibility for their own liberation. And please, as MPs and as political leaders, let's stop for working our families, working for ourselves and our families, and only go to the people to get the votes. Thank you very much.
One thing which I want to mention, the issue of the soul of the African, because Madam talked here about the people of North. We have to instill that. If I look at you and I smile and I tell you I love you, even if you don't even understand, it gets deep into the heart. And we will not have this thing about Northern Africa going. Number two, since we don't have time, we are all sitting here, 60th anniversary. Let us override even the AU by living here and making sure that in Uganda, everybody coming here, his country must have rectified the protocol. That is the beginning of our relevance. Let us take the challenge as a point here, all of us, because I've seen a full house, which is a wonderful thing. We can force it. Number three, if we are having wars, one of them have been reflecting. These wars everywhere, wars everywhere, because we have decided to be careless. We're careless parents. One leader once said, if you want to look for peace, prepare for war and justice. Why do we not have an African standing army? Why are we talking about contributions left and right? We can have that. We can have an African force. And this one leads me again to the justice system. Why is it that in Africa, our leaders are to be tried at the ICCC? So we don't have a justice system. So if you have a country where you have a parliament which is weak, you have a justice system that is weak, everybody just gets up and do what he likes. So we need to put it very clearly today that the African justice system is not there. Let us push it up. Second, lastly, the president of Kenya, Lumumba, and many others, we are going around the same theme. Why can we not build our own heroes now? Even the living heroes. Can we not boycott the UN system? We can boycott. We don't attend the UN General Assembly. And tell them that, look, we are Africans. These are the things that we have discovered. And we think that if we don't take a position on us, we are not going to do anything. And the most important, Mr. SG, where is the African currency? If we don't have gold, we have cowries for trade. Why is it that we are reluctant to adopt an